Hello?
I'm calling the June planning board meeting to order. First up on the agenda is Tappan Zee Mini Homes. Dale, you're going to be speaking?
Yes, I guess I'm here to answer whatever questions you may have about my application for a sign permit,
For a sign permit?
whatever else you may have.
Okay, yeah, Ed, can you give us a rundown on what's going on with the situation down there, and then we'll pull up the application just for sure. I'll Ed tell us.
I have it in those, great. Oh, it wasn't,
You don't have,
no, I do have it in here.
Because of the new activity there, that you speak to Dale and have them come to the board.
right, so it's more than just a sign.
More than just a sign, it's on the.
These new buildings we're putting up. Yeah, wait, so if you remember the history, well, you remember, it's your history. You had that guy that was gonna sell all the sheds away. I can't remember the name of it. We had a sign approved for that, right? It was some gentleman you were working with. So, and then it was a 6-month approval. And then I don't know what happened with that business. So we're talking like, no,
No,
this is before, this is like
Before that.
2019 or 20 or something. And then that expired, and then I believe that business either didn't happen or stopped out.
Well,
Right, and then you came to us with Apex. Right, you started that application. Accurate, yes?
yes,
And then you eventually, then after a couple of meetings, you pulled that application, said you were not gonna go. So then now we have multiple buildings showing up on this site. And I guess came to Ed for a sign permit. And I asked, Ed, what's going on with all these other buildings? There seems to be a new use happening there. Right, so,
I don't think it's a new use, it's what we've always used the property for. We started with 12 small buildings, manufactured buildings, that's 20 years ago. And off and on, business has evolved from that point to where it is now.
right, but I mean, obviously you had to come to us because you did the Apex application. That was selling the manufactured homes. And so clearly you understood that the use had not continued and that you needed to apply for a use to, to reinvigorate, or whatever you want to call it, the use on that property. And was if anything is not used, if a use is not engaged in for a year, it lapses. Warren, are you here? Oh, thank goodness. Warren, can we get him unmuted? We have you muted right now, Warren?
Yes, he muted.
Oh,
Jesus.
still muted.
There's the.
You can.
No, listen. Listen. I think you can.
Warren, you're still muted if you can hear us. Technology, making our lives easier. Give us a sign.
Yeah. Click on the microphone.
Still muted, Warren.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I'll hear you. Now, were you able to hear what I was discussing with Dale?
No.
Okay. So Dale, came to Ed for a sign permit at the little shed business next to Stewart's. That if you we just went over the history, we were reminding Dale, we were conferring and he was agreeing that there was a business started there about 5 years ago. We approved where a gentleman was gonna sell off the remainder of the sheds for 6 months. It was a 6-month approval. Whatever that either lapsed or the business went away or whatever happened with it, not much activity as far as I saw went on. And then he came to us with the Apex building application, which after 2 meetings or so, he pulled the application and that was going to be manufactured homes out of that spot. That another gentleman was working with him. So now he came to Ed for a sign permit. And also, there's been renewed activity at the site now. Obviously, this is years later from our previous approval, where a bunch of buildings are now appeared, these prefab. I don't know if are you building them or somebody's just
Manufactured,
dropping them there? They're coming in and you're
manufactured buildings, yes.
right. And I was explaining to Dale because the use was discontinued for over 1 year that we have to, go through the application process for that. Am I saying anything that is inaccurate?
That's correct.
That's also
So
sign of an active.
Well, the additional issue is that this piece is part of the Hudson Company land that will eventually be owned by Hudson Company and part of the application, where they're gonna have their septic, expansion area, etc. And he is in contract with Dale and Jamie are in contract with each other for Jamie to eventually purchase that at some point. Once
Construction
Sorry,
on the
what is it?
building was
Once
complete.
the construction is complete.
once the lot line adjustment is approved. So George had the question about that. Well, we just did the site visit for the Hudson Company today. And we saw the new building, we saw Dale. But George is saying that how can there be an application on this piece of property when it's already under an application for the Hudson Company? Jamie further told me that the plan is for Dale to lease, well, once the sale goes through, to lease the property from Jamie until Jamie's done building and ready to operate. Is that right?
I don't have the contract here. I think it's actually for a 2-year period. Is that,
Just 2-year period.
Dale, is that right?
Yes, it's a 2-year period.
For a 2-year period, once the sale's gone through.
Right.
So can we work on an application for further use of this property or not, or what, how do we handle this?
I don't know, it's pretty complicated. So you're telling me that this piece will be eventually part of the Hudson Company's development? But Dale wants to lease back, he's going to sell that piece to Hudson Company and lease back a portion of that for another use?
Right, he wants to sell these pre-manufactured home shed sort of things. Not homes, are they homes?
No.
Oh, they are homes, they're full homes. Sorry,
Well, it's a combination of things. There's some that are not homes and there's some that are homes. 1 and 2 bedroom homes and cottages.
and this will be like the show place area for them, is that the
Showplace
idea?
and office space.
How big is this property?
Property of Jamie's Pines, about 7 acres.
And do we have a
7
map
acres.
showing how this would work? Is there a map?
What map on this?
Not on the.
We have the map that the Hudson Company gave it, but that doesn't include this proposed use.
Yeah. What is he, is it, why are we on tonight? Has an application been made or is just a discussion about how to proceed?
Application is in front of us. The
Mhm.
two buildings are on site that are, under review, which like I said to the board, nothing's supposed to change on the site when we're reviewing. New
Right.
buildings aren't going up as we're reviewing an application.
Right. So you can't do anything while we're reviewing the Hudson Company application.
Probably should be removed from the site that weren't supposed to be installed.
Yeah, the use is expired. It's not a currently illegal use.
Correct.
I don't think it's expired. I think we've always used it for the same purpose. It's just that at times the business has been evolving over a period of 10 or 15 years.
But what was the name of the previous company that was operating?
Well, originally it was operating under my company that Jamie brought, which is Antique and Vintage Goods of America.
I'm talking about the one we approved in like 2020 or 2019.
You approved,
No.
but 2004
No.
was when first approval was.
Okay, I'm talking about in 2020 when we worked on, it had a name,
There was a guy and he was gonna mill wood in the back, remember, in the back.
that's Apex. No, before that was the guy that was just selling the sheds. He was gonna sell the remainder of your sheds. He had a sign, we built the sign, we approved the sign. It was, no, we don't remember.
I'm trying to get the name in my mind.
It had like
Johannesson, I think. Kristen Johannesson.
so, right, so you came to us for that, and that was a 6-month approval that we gave.
I don't remember that it was a 6-month approval, but if you say,
And then you subsequently came to us with the Apex application, right? So if you were continuing, right, so it was clearly that the use had discontinued, and here you are, like, you were engaged in the application process because you knew you needed an application, an approval in order to engage in the Apex. Correct. I mean, one can.
Wasn't there an application for landscapers too?
Yeah.
Between the two? Nursery.
Yeah, so nursery.
A nursery,
Yeah, nursery.
they came to us, there was a nursery application, I don't, did they actually apply, or it was a pre-sketch?
There was a
meeting?
pre-sketch plan and then
I
they,
don't know if that was actually not,
right.
but it was,
Then
I mean, we're not trying to be, hard asses here, it's just like, it's a clear rule. And Warren, you agree with that, because it's
Well, it
under.
sounds, I mean, it's a factual determination as to whether there's a discontinuance of the use. The planning board really can't make that determination. It should be made by the zoning enforcement officer in the first instance. And if he feels that he can't make the decision, he may have to refer to the zoning board of appeals for a hearing on it. But that's not a decision. The discontinuance of the existing use is not a decision the planning board can make. But the bigger problem is what George mentioned is that we have an application pending, a larger application pending for that parcel as part of the Hudson Company application. So we can't go ahead and do this side approval of this portion of that property, which is under review by the planning board for Hudson Company.
Okay, and now if for argument's sake, if Ed had determined that it was a continuing use, could they start putting buildings on it while we're in the middle of this process, or even with that fact, if that was agreed upon by Ed, that he still couldn't put buildings, like how?
Well, for argument's sake, if it's determined that the use that was there has continued and hasn't been discontinued and the permits are still valid, then he probably could continue that use until such time as the Hudson Company project is approved. Then would have to be discontinued.
I was just gonna say, I mean, clearly, we still have to refine our contract, but, respectfully, maybe Dale and I need to speak about what arrangement we're gonna have outside of the planning board.
Okay. Ed, did you make a determination?
No, haven't,
You haven't made a determination. Okay.
I researched a little bit, but
You have to research, or you did.
I was going to. For a shot off my head.
Yeah. All right, so that seems to be the plan. Ed's gonna go research, find out where we are with the use. You talk with Jamie, and then we'll figure out where we gotta go from there.
I'm sorry, it's obviously a very complex situation, but in part, this is an effort for Jamie and I to work together. I still own the property at this point. Not sure when I'm not gonna own this one,
Understood?
or if I'm not gonna own.
But clearly it's part of this other application, so I was.
Yeah, I understand that.
But as Warren said, just now is
If-
continuing for some time.
No, he
If it
said
is.
if it is, that was a hypothetical.
Oh, right, sure, you're right about that, yes. And
If they're, can I say something? If they're contemplating, I just thought of this, that parcel, which was until tonight understood to be part of the Hudson Company plan, is going to be used for an additional use. Then we can't go forward with the Hudson Company plan because the application has to be amended to include the contemplated use for Dale to see if that could be approved. You've created a real can of worms here, guys.
Yeah,
We have with Jamie, and Jamie can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, Jamie wasn't fully aware of what Dale's new plan is, so. In terms of, any sort of obscuring of this as we brought it in front of the planning board, like, we're just hearing it, I'm hearing about it for the first time today. So, I mean, I'm concerned that it may endanger his application. And I advised him to speak up and say, there are no terms of agreement on this presently with Dale over whatever Dale is planning. So I just want to put it out there that at this time, there is no real plan that involves both parties and use of this 5.8 acres of land that he was potentially buying.
Great.
Well, not according to Dale.
Mr. Leary, want to say something or?
Can I speak to that?
I just had a question. I realize we're without the benefit of a map or a plan to see what Dale is proposing, but the idea obviously is to do this lot line realignment. So a portion of Dale's property is conveyed to Jamie for his project. We were hoping to get that done, in advance once SECRA is completed. Is any of this being proposed by Dale on the portion of the property that we plan to acquire?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, it is all on.
It's all on it. Okay,
That's the problem.
I see. Okay.
But this was a sign proposal. It wasn't a proposal for a new business. You're making it into that. And the sign proposal is what brought this up. And you're questioning whether the continuing use has been proper. And that's a different issue. That's not a new proposal.
Which
Ed has to determine, which he just.
Correct. But it has been a continuing use. There's been buildings on there for.
Then why did you
Years
come
and
to
years.
us for two different applications?
I'm sorry?
Why did twice come to us for an application? Once for the guy, we can't remember which one, I'll find it, and
At the
then
time, we were advised to do that by the zoning enforcement officer.
because it was not a continuing use.
No, that's not necessarily.
Oh, and then the Apex guy, the
Just for-
Apex buildings.
Just for providing information.
No, we are not taking questions.
Oh, and just a quick comment to say. I'm not just making this up. The agreement that we have is a contractual agreement as part of the contract for the sale of the property that I leased it back for 2 years. That's part of the contract, not just me saying that.
Was it part of the part of the application? Excuse me, was it part of the application?
No, thanks. Which application?
No, it's a part of the Hudson Company application, no, it is not.
Okay. So the fact that they may have had a contractual agreement is of no consequence for purposes of the application before the planning board.
All right, so, Warren, you agree the first step is that, Ed's gonna have to research this and make a determination on the continuing use or not.
Yeah, and he's going to have to provide a lot more factual history than that one page I just saw to the zoning enforcement officer, so he can make or try to make an intelligent decision. My suspicion is he's probably going to refer this to the ZBA, but that's what I would do if I were in his position. But
Okay. All right, then. So again, it's not like we went look, we're down there tonight, we see buildings. It's done, we have to be able to handle this properly.
And I'm just trying to deal with an evolving business.
All right, all right, well, thank you, and that's where we're at with that. Now, Warren, can we go ahead with the public hearing on the Hudson Company?
as far as we're concerned, that's not part of the application. It wasn't. This is the first we're learning of this leaseback agreement with Dale and the proposed additional use. So if you want to go, if that's what they're intending for the property, we can't go forward with the public hearing tonight until they amend their application. Because the public needs to know exactly what's going to go on that property. And the planning board does too.
Apparently, the applicant doesn't control the property that they're applying for.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That was,
Warren, I'm thinking, this is Scott, I'm thinking that
Hi, Scott.
what's evolving is that, Dale is saying he hasn't given control of the property to the applicant.
But the lot line adjustment is part of the Hudson Company's total application. They already included that in their.
Did Dale sign off on that application?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have there's authorization
That's.
for Jamie to be the applicant, speaking on behalf of the property owner for the lot line adjustment and the overall site plan and lot consolidation plan. I think the point we wanted to make is that, yes, they had a contractual agreement that it would be leased for 2 years and that the buildings, there was, I think, 2 buildings, don't quote me on that, on site that would remain as is.
And eventually be sold off over that 2-year period. It was just a period to give him time to, while I'm building my building and not working there, let him sell off his sheds.
But all of that should have been disclosed in the original application.
Well, it was stated that that the buildings would be removed. They didn't state exactly how, and I don't think they even know, even if it's gonna be left to Dale to sell them. There's still to be some negotiation, how you get rid of these things in 2 years' time if they haven't all sold.
But there's new buildings. It's not like it was the pre-existing stuff. That was the one to me.
We're talking about the pre-existing.
Oh, yeah, I understand. That seems to be where the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I don't have the facts right. Was the lot line adjustment going to result in Hudson Company having a portion of that property and then Dale retaining a portion of that property?
not the property where the sheds are, no.
No,
There's a large tract of land, what is it, 30?
that's another lot line adjustment.
No, Warren, all right, so here it is, so Jamie already has bought the
4 acres.
4 acres, so that goes up to the ditch, right? And then on the other side of the ditch to Stewart's is where the sheds are, and then there's a piece to the east. That's part of that big, all that is part of Dale's 35, 40, whatever that is, acres. So out of that 6 acres,
Yeah,
was gonna be a lot line adjustment of 6 acres to Jamie. That would, and on that property are existing sheds that we've talked about here sometimes. And then now tonight, as we're doing well, I hadn't seen it, previously, but we saw them tonight. There was at least 2 new buildings on the property that have been placed there. These tiny home, buildings, in the recent couple of months. Are now on that 6 acres. Those existing sheds have been there for years, and then now some new ones.
Those sheds, it's hard to envision it without the map in front of me. We're going to be,
Hold the Hudson Company map. We're gonna get it pulled up more.
They also the applicant's intent for the application is changed. I don't think there's any desire. Yes.
No.
You know, I was trying to get it correct. No, I hear you. And you're starting.
Oh. I know.
Besides this. Kids are getting my.
Okay, Warren, can you see this?
yes,
All right, so
Well, definitely.
all right, so Jamie has bought. Can I see the mouse? Jamie has purchased this piece of property here. Jamie,
Where?
make sure I'm doing the right. So this piece, see this like
okay, yeah,
right?
Yes, yes.
This portion below to the south, like this thing here.
okay.
They've purchased that already. Now this 6.8 acres up here is where the lot line adjustment is going to be had.
No, hold on.
What? No, am I not right?
What Jamie owns is 4 acres.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
4 acres here.
Yeah, the black line,
There.
yeah.
I'm sorry, this is what Jamie owns, 4 acres here. And now they're looking for a lot line adjustment to encompass everything to the north up to Stewart's driveway.
Yeah, to the south edge of Stewart's driveway. Yep.
Over here to just above that pond. You see what I'm saying? Mark?
So that would create 10 acres? Is that where?
Yes. And then this is where the sheds and tiny homes, etc., are in this area here. And
Right,
then like some mill, like the Tappan Zee Bridge pieces and milling equipment over here in this area.
okay, so what, the original proposal, without Dale for the moment, was what was going to happen on that
Excuse me,
piece of
sorry.
property?
Guys? I'm sorry, Warren, what did you say?
Yeah, the original proposal that we received from Hudson Company proposed to do what with that piece of property? That was going to be part, that was that entire 10 acres going to be part of the Hudson development?
Yeah, so the 10 acres and primarily the area south of the stream there is going to be developed with about 50,000 square feet of mill and showroom space. What we needed across the stream, that other portion, was area to put our expansion area for our septic, because we're supposed to have 100% expansion for the septic in case the septic that we have on our portion fails.
That
And
will
so-
be on the,
Yeah, it's more or less kind of right where the 6.8 acres is.
Right here in this area.
Yep,
that's the expansion area.
Yep.
Okay, so you were going to acquire that entire piece, and was the thought that a portion of that to the west was going to be leased back to Dale? Is that?
I mean, at the time that we made the application, none of that was certain that I know of. But I think we've come to learn from Jamie that, in an effort to make it easier for Dale over time to move those buildings off that property, he was going to give them a little bit of time by way of a 2-year lease. And now we're learning, or at least I'm learning, of this tiny home project and the addition of additional structures on the building. So this survey is essentially, prior to the addition of 2 additional tiny home structures.
So, but the original plan was all of these structures were going to be removed. Now they're not going to be removed, and you're going to be adding some additional structures to that?
Well, it will be removed. It was only ever a 2-year grace period essentially for him to keep those buildings on site. But they would ultimately be removed, and that whatever is, I don't even want to get into saying what would happen with the additional buildings. The point is that the buildings that you see on site now would be removed within 2 years. That was the agreement.
But was there any agreement about operating a business on that site for the 2 years?
No,
And that's what Dale is proposing now.
yes.
It's a different application. George, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a real bucket of worms here, but I mean, again, from the applicant standpoint, I don't think they're not changing their application as submitted. That's my understanding from what I'm hearing. So with that being the case, I would say that we have a full application. It's complete. We've got the landowner's authorization for this application to move forward as submitted. I think we should have our public hearing.
Yes.
On this application.
Yeah, sorry, to add to this, I think this was the point we were trying to make, is that they haven't come to certain terms on the business. It's not like it's not an agreement between them. So it can't be made part of our application at this point. I do feel like it would be fair to let us have our public hearing as announced.
Yeah.
And that, obviously this is something we have to sort out.
I mean, it won't be closed tonight.
But I mean, Jamie's not
No,
going
it's not going to be closed tonight.
Yeah.
Can I respond?
Sure.
If this is gonna be a big problem for Jamie, then I will agree to remove once the lot line adjustment is done and I no longer own the property, I will remove the buildings from the property at that time.
There you go.
That seems to clear the way.
Yep. Does that
Okay with
sound
me.
fine?
Does that satisfy you, Warren?
That's fine.
Alright. With that. So then I could open the public hearing then, correct, Warren? All right, so Hudson Company public hearing is cool. We have what they want up. You guys gonna give a little? Where's that hill rock?
Right?
Call. We have up what they want to present. Also, I think we actually need to do this.
Okay.
That's fine. How many people are looking to speak on this application? Yeah, we can just pass around a sign up sheet, please.
Yeah.
All right, so, well, let me have a motion to open the public hearing. Motion.
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the public hearing is now
Probably
open.
like the first.
Yeah. He's.
And once I will look at the list and then determine any time limits if I feel I need to when I see the sizable.
That's what I was gonna say, while you're waiting, line's short.
Well,
That's to go first.
well, let's have the applicant tell us about the project and what they want to show the public and.
We'll do plans.
What are we supposed to be?
It's from the first, either from the first commissioner or when I emailed you last April. Oh, it's never. Figure out.
Pull the plug, right?
Okay.
Start over. Pull that off.
It's not in with the plans.
Probably.
Okay.
I want it. Yeah. Right. Yes, I was over there discussing.
You want
left
some?
on the bottom. I have no. I want you to move.
The public.
Building stands. She'll just start while Trish's finding that.
Sure, yeah, whatever, it's up to you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jamie Hamill, and I'm the owner of the Hudson Company. I took over Antique and Vintage Woods on August 31st, 2010. At the time, it was a distributor of antique and vintage wood. And my kind of vision and business model for the Hudson Company was to become what we call a vertically integrated manufacturer of bespoke specialty antique wood for architects and designers. It was an incredibly slow build to get some momentum, but over time, we built a pretty great business. When I started, there were just a couple of employees. We now employ about 35 people. We do about 700 projects a year, ranging in size from little mantles for somebody's fireplace to probably our most famous project is the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York and the Anchorage Museum in Anchorage, Alaska. If anybody has ever been there, I have not. But we're a very well-respected specialty wood flooring company. It's kind of an interesting time to be a manufacturer in the United States. We've been doing it since 2010. And I think we are a great employer in this town. As I mentioned, with about 35 people, we offer healthcare, we offer benefits, we offer great vacation packages, programs. We offer a great workplace, and we have high employee retention. We have a very positive relationship with our landlord, the Durst organization. We're on 2290 Route 199, but we've outgrown that space. And I know some of you have visited. It's a very charming office that is not suitable for the staff that we have been recruiting over the last 15 years. I'm lucky to have some really great employees who live in Rhinebeck, in Pine Plains, in Clinton Corners, Germantown, and we need to provide a better workplace for my team. And we've outgrown the manufacturing space. We are now also leasing 10,000 square feet in Hudson, and we're running trucks back and forth between Hudson and Pine Plains daily, which is very expensive, very time consuming and inefficient. So over the 15 years, I've probably approached the Durst organization 15 times to say, would you sell the building? And understandably, they did not want to sell it because they had a larger project in mind. And this parcel of land over here at the corner of 82 and 83 recently became available. And after meeting with various people amongst the town of Pine Plains, we acquired 4 acres, which you've all heard about, with a vision to build one campus for all of our manufacturing, all of our warehousing, and our showroom and our client visits. This is the proposed rendering. I mentioned that we work for architects and designers who are very focused on aesthetics, which is great. That's what we like to do. But that means that the workplace has to be attractive for our clients. We are trying to instill confidence in the clients by bringing them to a really beautiful campus, which is here. So we've designed a showroom and an office. This is the existing building. This is the new proposed mill building, and this is a lumber shed here. That is the overview of the project.
Yeah, I'll just jump in quickly on some of the approvals that we need. So I'm Karen Labruto. I'm a senior planner with Lavella Associates, and this is Kyle Bardwell. He's the senior engineer on this project. So the project requires site plan, special use permit approval, and lot consolidation approval from the planning board, some area variances from the zoning board of appeals. We're also seeking an approval from Dutchess County Department of Public Works for 3 entrances. And we've had previous discussions with them and they seem to be okay with that plan. We're also into the Department of Health for a septic system. We've done our testing. It's been witnessed by the county. We have stormwater management and treatment on the site where currently there is none. And the lot coverage is about 30% of the site. As you know, you guys probably already know, there's an existing 17,000 or so square foot warehouse on the site, and there's all sorts of gravel and stockpiles and kind of stone and debris and asphalt. The site will be cleaned up. It will be, leveled out. In some places it will be brought up to be a single level. Yeah, it'll be a nice campus. You can see that the showroom On the very left side is aligning with Route 82. And then there's kind of a straight access to that connector building. The idea is to give an opportunity for interaction by the design professionals, a safe interaction with the manufacturing process, kind of adds to the whole experience. And so that's part of what he's selling, right? It's not just like the product, it's the experience of how we got to this point and how to really transform spaces.
Yeah, I mean, if you've all probably been to Home Depot before, you can buy wood flooring there, and you can buy wood flooring at Williams Lumber and lots of other places. Our whole business model is we're bespoke, we make it by hand, it's specialty, come meet the makers. And so this whole campus is designed to entice people to come visit. And then to go have lunch at Tower Piece.
All right, so, and 5 people here looking to speak, I'll set a 4-minute timer. Afterwards, I will offer probably, opportunity to speak again. But also, remember, this is just for public comments. It's not gonna be a question and answer. It's not gonna be a conversation between the applicant or the board and members of the public. If you have questions, state them, and then we will, if we find them relevant, we will look to gain answers either now or later from them. This one right here, John. Okay, first up is Gail Malloy. Malloy, sorry.
It's weird to actually made the premier's name, but I didn't stick. So I'm also chair at the CAC, the Conservation Advisory Commission for the town here. First, if I'm allowed, it's really exciting to see employers who want to come to Pine Plains and run this really exciting business and do something sort of that's born of their own knowledge and their creativity. So that's just, it's exciting to see. My questions have to do with how green this building will be. When you talk about multiple trucks going back and forth, what kind of traffic that there would be and what impact that would have on the community or these roads. That it's 82 and 83 that you'll be on. And what you're thinking about building and how you want to build in a way that will protect the environment as you do that, which sounds like it's a long because it'd be nice to see what that is. I think our biggest concern, and we're a newly put together CAC, so we're just getting our sea legs, and we probably wish that this would happen after we have them a bit more. About a big question probably has to do with the importance of the lakes that surrounds Dissing Mountain, and that this, where the drainage is from all of the activities that you're proposing, and if there are ways to make that as have the littlest amount of impact on these extraordinary lakes that we have here. It's the environment is a really important one. We have a I don't know the term, but it's like the state DEC has really allowed us to have a designation about how important it is to keep those lakes clear and clean. And so that's what our question would be about. What do you going to do about wastewater? Have you thought about making your driveways as wastewater friendly, if that's even a word, as possible? And those kinds of things I think are really a concern as you build this, that you're excited about it, and we hope that in the way you're making a real step for handmade wood products, that you think about the woods and the lakes that are around, and you'll make that part of your initiative. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up is Scott.
I, like Gail, would like to say that I'm very excited about the project. I think it's excellent for Pine Plains, and I would clarify, I've worn many hats through, I'm an old guy, and I've been on like every committee and the town board, the planning board, the ZBA, the zoning commission, and part of the things in my career was as a professional planner. To me, this is a real opportunity for Pine Plains. This is going to be the gateway parcel into town. We have someone who recognizes that, has a clientele that that he wants to draw here and make this a place that we visit. I think that this, is going to, could be very good for the community. The concern that I wanted to raise is, again, as a town, when I say the town as a government, we don't always get all of our act together. And one of the things that we have in the past have put together a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan, part of it is a bikeway and trails portion. If I were to try to summarize that, we're trying to make Pine Plains a pedestrian and bicycle friendly community, especially in the Hamlet Center. We're also have put together parts of the plans that would use old railroad right-of-ways, and the one that comes into play with the property that Dale presently owns, and this piece of it, and we're doing a lot line adjustment, is to get to the Speeder Clare property. There are still negotiations ongoing to try to take that. It could become a much bigger trail bikeway. We don't know that if it'll happen soon or way into the future. The concern that I wanted to raise is, and they've already attempted, I congratulate them. I raised this with them before. You will see new documents that talk about trying to accommodate pedestrian trail access way and to try to get us to that right away. I do say that in the past, we've had other opportunities at this, and as a town government, we haven't done the best. Even Dale made some efforts in the past, and we had there was a configuration that got us through Dale's property, and one town board member did not like it, and somehow it never happened. Here's another opportunity to get us there. I just ask that when you're looking at the site plan and the lot line adjustment, if you would look at the concept is we want to get from the old duals to all the rail beds, and here's a chance to get to the Speeder Clare one. And so that's all that I'm asking is for people to take a look at that and try to make that happen. And with that, as I say, I think that this project offers many real opportunities for Pine Plains. Let's make the best of it.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Bill Abrams.
My name's Bill Abrams. I live on Myrtle Avenue, which is fairly close to the proposed structures. The certified mail I received indicated that I live within 500 feet of the perimeter. My concern is noise levels from the mill that's proposed. 500 feet is approximately 1.5 football fields. Right now, you're all familiar, I hope, with the location of the beer garden in the village. That's certainly more than 1.5 football fields away. When the wind is blowing the right way, I can go out in the backyard and dance to the music. So it's a concern. The noise level for a sawmill is particularly dangerous. I used to work with a person who lost most of his hearing working in a sawmill because he didn't understand that the pitch of the noise from the saw is particularly dangerous. And one of the issues we've had in the past with other
proposals in the area have been, I'm gonna call it lies of omission. We had a big thing going here years back at the Wolfowitz Car Wash. And we were assured that the noise levels were not going to impinge on the people that lived directly abutting the car wash, and the people on the other side of the street, of which I'm one. What they never mentioned was that there was an alarm system that, should the system malfunction, these alarms would go off, and they were loud, and they went off very long. So that's a concern. The people that were trying to block what they called the overuse of the property were paying their attorney out of their pockets and out of their retirement funds. The people proposing the car wash seemed to have an unlimited supply of cash for free attorney service. But what they did was they simply asked for postponements repeatedly, which they were granted. And every time they had a meeting and there was a postponement, everybody had to pay their lawyers. Eventually, the people opposing the issue ran out of money. Car wash got in. This is the kind of thing that makes me nervous about this type of proposal. Now, granted, I don't believe you intend to put the sawmill on the edge of the perimeter by my house. But I understand also that you do have that option. And that's my concern. Thank you. So,
Thank you. Charles Westman?
Yeah, it's Gerald Westner. I start with I'm definitely for your project, and I have no reason not to think it would be a good idea to have people working in the town. It's good. My concerns, very serious concerns, is I built a beautiful house in Rhinebeck, and then about 15 years later discovered that Red Wing was going to build a mine on the edge of my property. So that lawsuit went on for 5 years, and I realized that they have unlimited money, and I just couldn't do it. I mean, and also I didn't realize that there was a court after the Supreme Court. They won the Supreme Court case, and then they said no, there's an appeals court. So
New York is kind of
it's odd. So I sold my house because I knew I couldn't win. And I built a beautiful, it's my dream home right here down on 83, Route 83. I don't know, I mean, maybe a mile from 82 and 83, maybe a mile, 0.2, I'm not sure. And so my concern is I come down 83 to 82, make a left or a right, depending on where I'm going, once or twice a day. And I'm worried about the traffic. And if they have, I just, employees coming and going and trucks coming and going. It just seems it potentially could be dangerous, probably won't be. But that's one of my concerns. Where are the entrances going to be? Will I have to stop every day to wait for big trucks to come on their property from 83? Or will all the egress and that start at 82, which probably won't really affect me at all. The biggest concern I had is your concern, which is probably not going to be something, but it could be, and that is the noise level. And I'm assuming that the town has done all kinds of tests to find out how loud and how far that sound travels, because I don't want to sit in my house and move again, because it's so lovely. I love this town. Everybody is so nice, and it's just great. I've been very happy. So that's it. Thank you.
Stuff is Tom McElroy.
Hi, I'm at Tanner Avenue, so it's this side of the parcel. I'm an architect. I do to That's multiple times, and we're still reading about that. Haven't had a chance to use any yet, but look forward to some time. So I've been to the showroom, I've been in the mill during the sales. But now it's going to be sort of events. I'm kind of curious about everything else, the potential awareness I will have of it being there, like the lighting, the noise, the trucks. So I'm looking for that additional information that's forthcoming. I read through the package. I saw the proposed number of I think it said tractor trailers per day coming and going at the site. Obviously employee cars, background traffic, and wondering about the path through the village. Would it go down smaller streets or roads? Not go down roads. And we don't necessarily have to check the weather app when it's going to be whether we can just look out the back windows around 4 in the morning. The highway department, which is down on 83, has very bright lights that actually shine into our house from all the way down there. First turn, there's no leaves. And so I would hope that, as you mentioned earlier, for the architects and designers, nice that you would have appropriate dark sky lighting that doesn't illuminate like a studio. But in general, I think for me, it's more about I do work on this pandemic. A lot of people are there during the day in the neighborhood, and it's fairly peaceful. Yes, students are right there. People can go from students, but will the mill be like a constant, distant lawnmower buzz that's not there now that will be there? And so I know that there's a noise study being done. I'm just curious to see what that comes back, but I think that's all I have. But of course, seeing what happens.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that is looking to speak? Is there anyone from the public who has spoken and wants to speak again? Sure. Abrams? Yes.
Right. Just very briefly, again, in reference to the car wash situation, when the noise levels were questioned, they presented information as to what the decibels would be. When I inquired as to where the information came from, they told me from the manufacturer's literature. I've worked for manufacturers, their literature lines. It was not a valid source of information. Information on the decibel levels would need to come from an independent survey, not from manufacturers' literature. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, let's how about members? Do members have any questions they want to force out in the or is there anything you want to say?
The letters were sent out to everybody within a 500-foot radius of Dale's property, right? So to address specifically your two concerns, Mr. Mitchell's property goes right up to almost your fence line back there on Myrtle Avenue. Whereas this application is 1,500 plus feet, not to say that noise couldn't carry, and that's something that's getting considered. But that's why all the people on Myrtle Avenue specifically got certified letters in regards to this application.
So yeah, the site itself is on 83. There's 3 entrances that approved by the county on 83. And so there will be trucks turning off of 83 into and out of the facility, in what was, it's like, how many per day?
So, yeah, we had a mistake in our environmental review that said there were 3 to 4 tractor trailers a day. I think that was maybe based on your existing condition with your situation in Hudson, I'm not sure. But the point is, it was a mistake. It's 3 to 4 tractor trailers a week. So. Speak. Yes.
Yeah. There's a UPS truck that comes every day at 5 o'clock to take packages. A couple of days a week, we get a tractor trailer from a barn that has been coming, that was taken down in Pennsylvania or Ohio. That's not 5 days a week, and it's not even every week of the year. Sometimes there's 3 in a week, and then there's no tractor trailers for the next 2 or 3 weeks because we're processing that lumber. So on average, we could say it's 2 a week, 2 or 3 a week for that, but that's honestly very high. We do have our own delivery truck, so we make deliveries every day. Our driver lives in Red Hook. He does leave early. He leaves about 4:30 in the morning, but that's just a 26-foot box truck, equivalent to a UPS truck. Can I keep going, or just do you want to say
That's
that on
fine,
topic? Okay. So I'm going to go just so I can organize in my head. I'm going to go in chronological order. Gail. So the business model, the whole thesis of the model was about sustainability. You know, it's much easier to make plastic than it is to take down a barn and make something out of it. So it's all about recycling. Surprisingly, not everybody in the world really cares about that, I learned. But over the last 15 years, we've diverted about 6 or 7 million board feeds, which is a lot, from the landfill, and we've manufactured it into reusable product. So we're all about sustainability. There is a byproduct from our process, and that is called sawdust. We don't use any chemicals. There's nothing going into water. It's just sawdust. That sawdust is turned into briquettes to heat people's stoves, and it's used for animal bedding. So we recycle as much as we possibly can. You asked about like the materials and how we're going to build the building. You know, first of all, I kind of have this vision of it being like this Northern California vineyard that people are gonna, fall in love with. That's what we're trying to convey here. But these buildings are gonna be made out of reclaimed wood. There's gonna be reclaimed wood on the outside. There's gonna be reclaimed beams on the inside. I mean, honestly, it's our product, so we're showcasing it. But we're about as green as you can get.
Just to be clear, though, the mill and the warehouse are metal.
These 2 buildings are metal buildings. Yes, one is existing metal building, and they will both be metal. You asked about water. Yep, and I'm going to pivot to Kyle, and then Kyle, I'm going to ask you to throw it back to me. Can you speak to our water plant?
Great concerns, all great questions. One thing that's important is the existing warehouse was put up far before New York State requirements for stormwater quality. So as part of this project, all new impervious has to be sent to a treatment factory. So in this particular project, we're proposing a pre-treatment of hydrodynamic separators. That's the first step in removing pollutants from the first flush. From there, we have 2 types of practices on site. One's an infiltration basin, which helps put water back into the ground to recharge groundwater, as well as a filtering body. And both of them help treat the stormwater, and so that when it gets discharged, it's clean stormwater. We are totally aware of the ecological importance nearby and are abiding by all New York State requirements for that stormwater discharge. One of the receiving bodies is classified as trout streams, and we're abiding by all of the parameters of them. So it's just strong that we abide by all new requirements for regulating that stormwater, as well as improving the existing conditions by treating some of the existing impervious that is currently not being treated. So right now, when it rains, it would go off the warehouse and go directly into the ditch, or on the pavement and go directly to the ditch. Whereas in the proposed conditions, it'll be caught in treatment practice more than the charge.
I'll say a couple other things about vehicles, which I think address a couple people. So we do employ 35 people. About 5 of them work in New York City or Connecticut at various showrooms. So our total cars are like 22, I think it was 24 cars.
2 trips per day?
Nope,
You mean
people who
parking?
drive to work, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the guys share, some of the guys live together and carpool together, so there's about let's call it 20 cars that come. Customers, I wish there were more coming, but there's only a couple. You know, it's an architect bringing their client for a meeting, which takes, you know, you've been there, a meeting can be 1 to 3 hours long. And that's usually 1 or 2 cars of clients. We're hopefully working on the new expansion of Williams College. They're bringing in like 6 people for a meeting on July 14th. So that would be a big day at the mill to have 6 people show up. We will cater that lunch from Moose on the Loose. So 15, 20, you know, the showroom staff is going to be operated by about 4 people. So there's going to be about, you know, 2 to 4 cars parked here. I'm sorry, 4 to 5 cars parked in this lot every day. And about 15 cars back here. And then the tractor trailers a couple a week. Our truck comes and goes twice a day. There's really not that much traffic, to be totally honest with you. Let's see. I think, did that answer all of your questions? Then it was, so the esteemed Legend of Pine Plains, we're all about.
Old guy.
We have some thoughts but we've already submitted a proposal. We're totally in support.
Yeah. The trail through the property. I think George Schmidt had some ideas about, you know, some alternative ways to capture the goal to provide pedestrian crossings and, you know, make connections between the railroad bed and other parts of High Plains. So yeah, Jamie completely supports that, whatever version it takes. Point.
I support it for the town. I also support it honestly for my team. We have a couple people on our team who every day at lunch, they go out and they walk around our Durst property just to get steps in. It'd be great if it was on a trail. That'd be awesome.
Landscaping.
So just come by and pull into the parking and I'll come out.
Sound.
Landscaping, you know, I'll definitely come to sound, just landscaping like our plan.
Yeah, the
The
plan.
sort of vision, loose vision is a meadow, like a very natural wildflowers, grasses, trees, lighting. You know, we're trying to create sort of first of all, there's certain requirements we have to do, but it's supposed to be moody, nice.
We're very aware of the dark sky line, and we look for 2,800 K or less. So, you know.
Well, I don't want anything.
Want to talk about
glaring.
your hours of operation?
Hours of operation are Monday through Friday. We are technically open 8 to 5. Some of our guys come in earlier though. The driver leaves at 4:30 because he's got to get to the city and beat traffic. And we pay overtime. And so a lot of guys like to work extra hours. And so they come in at 6:30 and work, you know, 50 hours a week.
So when does the sawing start? Like at 6 a.m.?
No, they're probably like eating breakfast for a half an hour on the clock. It could start at 7. I'm not there every day to witness that, but I could figure that out for you.
That's not wasn't in the bill. Or no?
Well, if you want to talk about noise,
Yeah.
so there's basically 2 sources. I mean, 2 things to talk about with noise. There are the saws that we use to break down the beams, to take down the barns, and the big beams are 8x8 or 10x10. We've got to cut them up into boards. Those saws live in this shed roof, and that's called a wood miser saw. You've probably seen them. They're orange. It's sort of technically a homeowner saw, to be honest with you. And they run on gasoline. That's one source of noise. The other source of noise is the dust collector, which will exist behind the building. There's basically like a central vacuum cleaner. It sucks all the dust out of the building. Out of the equipment and into the trailers that then become briquettes. We did hire an outside agency an outside engineer to perform a sound study.
Yeah.
That was just completed.
Let me speak to that. So, Yeah, so as he said, the sawing is happening in this shed that's on the east side of the development there, so the easternmost area, closest to the highway garage. It's about 40 feet off of Route 83. He's in site plan approval in front of the planning board for that location. It cannot change from that location without him coming back to the planning board for approval. So that location is fixed. The dust collector is at the kind of northeast corner of the new warehouse building, the new mill building. The thing I want to point out there is that the prior northeast, what's it called, Northeast Hardwoods building, the
New England Wholesale Markets
wholesale, yeah, there is a dust
collector there.
collector there. So that was in operation at some point. So you had some experience of that sound prior to this, right?
Correct.
So those two things. So Crawford Associates did a noise analysis. What they did is they did sound measurements at his existing operation on 199 at 4 locations, something like, I don't know, 5 to 8 feet off of the building.
All 4 corners of the building.
All 4 corners of the building. Then they came to this site and they picked 6 locations, one of which is closest at his property line from the property owned by Greg Pulver, the Pulver Trust, because that's the most sensitive resource to his site. And so what they do is and I don't want to oversimplify it, but something along the lines of they measure the ambient sound level. So in this location at Route 83, Route 82, you've got the noise of traffic and trucks, that exist today. You have the noise from the DPW highway garage on Route 83 with the backing up, the beep, 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 excavators, stockpiling. You've got the beep, beep, beep backing up and all of the deliveries at the stewards, the racketing doors. So it isn't exactly at least in that location, an extremely quiet environment. And that was reflected in the sound levels that were reported for the ambient sound condition. So then what they do is they layer on the sound that was recorded at his existing operation. And the results, the executive summary, because we'll provide the analysis to George, who's a noise consultant, to review it. The executive summary here is that it does not raise the decibel level by 6 decibels, which is the threshold that the Department of Environmental Conservation for the state of New York suggests makes a significant noise impact. So we're below that increase. And I think the report can kind of qualify it more accurately, but it was fairly technical. And I think George needs to take a look at it and understand it. But in short, it's below the impact level.
I did receive it today. There's a 61-page report. 61 pages, so it's pretty thorough.
And it'll be uploaded to the.
Yeah, we'll make the submission at your next submission date. We just got it today.
Jake has a question.
What's Crawford methodology? Well, if this shed by the drawings doesn't have walls.
Yes.
It's open.
Yeah.
Do you have anything comparable at the other building?
We have open wall shed roofs.
Okay.
Exactly.
So they were
With the saws there.
with the saws and the saws
apples
running.
around. It's okay.
Apples to apples.
And the methodology, I should have said, was checked by George in advance of doing the analysis. We wanted to make sure that it was going to meet the requirements.
And then George will go over the analysis, right?
Yeah. Question. We're not, no, quick question. You said it's 6 decibels above something. What was the baseline or what was the
It's a change of 6 decibels, which
from?
from what any,
What it is now.
At the base.
Oh, from-
Any
Got it.
incremental change.
Got it. All right.
You're addressing the sound issue. It's only an increase, it's decibels.
No, that's not what I said.
No,
Last one, the last,
less, okay. The problem that I could see here is because the previous sound levels were never measured.
Well, they measured it now during this study.
Yeah.
Without it, it's not there now, so they're measuring the sound levels.
But what I'm saying is, what we seem to be experiencing is a slow creep. Stewart's open, it's a little more noise, nobody challenges it. The highway department's running trucks. A little more noise, nobody challenges it, but the noise level is increasing.
Really?
Like that.
I understand your concern, but we can't really we don't know. We can't look at the past, go like travel back in time and try to figure out what it used to be in X year, right? We can only look at the current situation, you know?
Okay, so
All right.
what I'm asking is that the existing sound level needs to be within an acceptable range. You can't separate it from the previous.
So we have no jurisdiction over what sounds in the town. You know, I mean, it is what it is. We're judging this project as it's presented to us. We can't say, well, I mean, I guess we could take it into account. I don't know. I'd have to ask Form, but
That's fine. We don't need to discuss it.
I understand your concern though. Got it. Okay, one last question, and this is what happens when I take a question.
So you said that the threshold is 6 decibels and the noise increases, but it's under 6. Do you have the number of how many decibels it will increase?
There's a whole analysis. I just got it today and that's.
And again, that
I
analysis
was able to record in my head.
will be uploaded to the public drive. There's a public drive that's on our website, Google Drive, and you can see all these pages and pages of stuff. And then, of course, we have our engineer that evaluates it for us and then, you know, translates it.
I don't just have a survey. You did very well, you know, we asked questions, you're giving us answers, but I didn't like Mr. Demara over there. Saying, well, it wasn't 500, this was 1,500. Now we came with concerns and I feel like the board is just knocking it down.
What he was trying to explain is that the property line goes up to the tree line, but the actual project site is all the way on the other side now. Okay, so he just was clarifying it for you and not trying to knock down.
That's what he was.
I'm sorry.
I don't mean to be dismissive.
Everyone stop, right? So this is why, no more questions? We're done with questions and comments. We're just gonna go through the process of. So that's exactly what I don't want to happen and shouldn't be happening during the meeting. No, but. No, thank you. Okay, so, where are we at now? We went over sound, we went over traffic. Is there any other deliveries? Lighting? Was there any large? Was there any? Do you have any?
He just left.
Did I miss something you mentioned, you asked about?
Traffic pattern and future expansion.
Okay.
Check on that. Everyone wants to go down Myrtle. Obviously, it's like the way to cut from town. If you got a guy driving a truck around, ask him to not do that. That will go a long way.
Where is Myrtle is on the other side of Stewart's?
On the other,
Yeah, it's the first street you come to, that would be a right-hand turn past school.
There's a lot of people.
Past the postal.
It goes to the school. The school. parking lot.
Turns east to the
So
school.
if he stayed, his name is Jack. If Jack stayed on Main Street, turned right on 199,
Yeah.
took that to 22. Or went down 83 and through Millbrook, and bothered them.
I mean, what happens is people try to cut the light, so they go Myrtle past the Seymour Smith, right on Factory Lane, and then come out on 199.
You have my word.
Or
You have my word.
okay. Okay. No more, the public, please, sorry.
It won't want to.
It's getting late.
Mr. Davis mentioned alarms. Are there alarms on your facility?
That's a good question. Yeah, there is an alarm. We could certainly look.
Does it tie into somewhere or it's it's its purpose?
Actually calls my cell phone in the middle of the night. Sure goes off.
How'd that happen?
Well, probably one of his fires, probably a very large.
Yeah,
I guess
I mean,
the
does
question is it tied to a piece of machinery that if it malfunctions, is there like?
or no, does it go to the police?
Well, I mean, what we have in. Is what we have in 199 is if somebody opens the front door after 10 PM. And doesn't punch in the code, the alarm goes off. Has nothing to do with.
It's just security.
So for like ADT or something.
Yeah.
So they get called, so then it would call.
So it's an internal alarm, not an external.
Yeah, do you have sirens outside the building?
I don't think so.
Board members, any other questions from the applicant?
Did the DOT address the Route 82, Route 83 intersection at all? So I can't find that.
So we did not consult the DOT. We don't have an application into them for any reason. What we did was an analysis of why the ponding was occurring. And so I'm gonna let Kyle take it this time.
So as of right now, we're not proposing any improvements in the DOT right. All of our improvements are right now occurring on Route 83. Some of the concerns from the board were ponding around the hole. We took a look at that. We feel that our project is gonna first off improve the conditions based on the fact that we're gonna be sending off less stormwater in the post-construction lake development conditions opposed to the existing conditions. That's a part of New York State stormwater treatment and attenuation code that discussed before as it relates to the new regulations. So one aspect of it is we're gonna be sending less stormwaters there. Based on our evaluation of the photos provided by the board, we don't feel that that ponding would have any issues with what we're proposing. It's far away from any of our infiltration areas. On site, we also did substantial amount of soil testing to determine that all of our practices for attenuating and collecting stormwater would not be inhibited by that ponding that's shown in that picture. So for various reasons, we don't feel that our project would be required to look into the condition of that culvert under DOT road, given the fact that we are improving stormwater flows and not improving anything on New York State DOT right away that would inhibit us to go to them for any justification.
Two more things. The ponding area is very low level. When we looked at the top of the water level in the picture, we were able to determine its elevation. And when we compared it to where the ponding was occurring, it was pretty much the same elevation. It was just after a storm. The culvert opening is actually a little higher than the bottom of the stream. So the bottom of the stream and the ponding of the water was kind of all occurring this way, but it wasn't. The point is, it could have gone through the culvert if it was a little higher. It just did, it ponded on our side. So we're not seeing any problem with the culvert based on our analysis. And I understand that there are some concerns about that culvert, but it's really not our responsibility. We have the DOT has no purview over our project. So there's really no reason for us to reach out to them. We're following all the laws for stormwater. So we don't anticipate any impact there. But certainly the town could reach out to the DOT if they were concerned about, flooding on the other side of the culvert.
So what about traffic? Thank you for all of that. That wasn't my question though, but I knew that it was a topic last month. That's why I did not interrupt you. My question is specifically regarding the increase of traffic at the facility, specifically revolving around the Route 82 and Route 83 intersection. I take that road all the time, and pulling out, Mrs. Pulver planted this lovely pine tree that you cannot see around. And so, and people go flying onto 83, as sometimes when I'm late to work, I might be one of those people. So the increase of traffic, I had specifically asked that at the first meeting, and that was going to get referenced to the DOT.
Well, I think there was a suggestion that it get referenced to the DOT. So the analysis of traffic for the application in front of the planning board is undertaken by the board's interaction with the state's environmental quality review, right? You're the lead agency for this review. So we did a traffic analysis, we did a trip generation based on the number of employees that he had, the use that's proposed, the visitors coming, all of the uses that are happening on site. And we have something like less than 30 trips during the peak hour. The peak hours there's peak AM, it's 7 to 8 or 6:30 to 7:30. The PM is, 4:30 to 5:30 or 5:35 to 6, depends on the area. And, we looked at our incremental addition to the trips at that time. And again, we're only adding less than 30. The threshold for impact by the DOT and under seeker is 100 trips during the peak hour. So we're way below a threshold that would imply a significant adverse impact as it relates to traffic. If we needed an access point off of Route 82, then we would have to submit to the DOT all of this traffic impact analysis information and everything else. But we don't need access off 82, so we don't need to submit to DOT. We are submitting to the county though, and are providing that information.
Have you, you received approval of the 3 driveways in the county?
We,
Or preliminary or what it is?
we've received informal approval.
So you don't have anything in writing from
Do we have it in writing? We have an email.
We have an email, it's somewhat informal, but we just submitted to them last week, last Friday, I think it was.
So, we have a conversation with them about what we're proposing and the entrances that we're proposing. As of right now, we have an email saying that they're okay with our approach. From there, we have to submit detailed design showing the pavement section meets county DPW requirements. We submit for site distance and other aspects of those entrances that the county provides.
Show that it's safe.
So at this point, we're in the technical process and. This is George's latest, is that what you're on?
Yeah.
Does it have another page? Did you receive this from George? A lot of it as previously recommended, like, is that just because of?
Just keeping track of the comments, so, there's nothing new there, if it says as previous, you've already heard it.
Right, but it's, as far as getting the, it's normal that you haven't received it from the applicant at this point, or?
Well, I think like, for instance, with the health department, they don't have it yet.
Right.
I just don't want to lose track of it. With the DPW, they don't have that correspondence to share yet, so we don't want to lose track of it.
The DEC
Yeah,
jurisdiction
DEC
determination.
stuff that they're already working on, it just hasn't come in yet.
We could speak about the structural analysis of the footbridge,
Yeah, we looked at that.
right?
While
So
we're out today.
Yeah, and then that kind of, that gets affected, that affects some of the trail option.
right, so if there was a trail option over that, then we would need to do the structural analysis. It's obviously an added cost to Jamie's application, and his site work and all that good stuff, so we don't wanna, hand him that bill until we're sure that's, something that he would necessarily have to do. Otherwise, we have no plans to use the footbridge. We looked at the driveway crossing, there's a brand new PVC pipe there.
Both plastic.
Yeah, there was a typo in our SWIP over which we're gonna fix. We did soil testing and had it witnessed by the county, which I think helps to address number 6, which talked about the soil survey and implications of a seasonal high groundwater level. Number 7, I think, is where we're at right now, which is that George had suggested that we reach out to the DOT, and we are respectfully saying that that is not our responsibility. We have no reason to reach out to the DOT. We totally respect and support if the town wants to reach out to the DOT, but we have no reason to reach out to the DOT. And we just got our noise study completed and we'll be submitting it.
Regarding the culvert. Close traffic and or.
Yeah, it's just proposed.
Oh, so. What is the threshold for traffic? Like, the traffic, like requiring a traffic study, like.
Oh, it's 100, she's correct. Yeah, that's
So 100, what, trip?
during peak hour, yeah, that would,
So that's.
may have a potential adverse impact at that point. It's not a definite, it's a may. But since they're demonstrating that they're well under that, there's really no reason to go further than the analysis that they've already provided.
And the borings or whatever part of the soil thing, so you're saying you just got that done and you'll get it.
Yeah, we did that months ago, and I think that information is probably included in the appendix in the SWIP.
Yeah, so we added, so to answer that question, there was some regarding the web soil survey. We actually went on site to conduct soil testing to actually confirm the soil conditions on site. We included that in the SWIP report. Talking with George, we're gonna add a little more detail specifying that we're on site with an excavator. This is how it's conducted. These are results, and add some detail to our SWIP for that aspect.
Like, I have 2 concerns.
Yes.
I want a comfort level with your bandsaw. If you're running a hardwood or something, is there a winding thing to it? I would love to see that enclosed, but I got a feeling with forklifts and operation, you need a lot of room around it.
And I just wanted a comfort level of the noise. I want to look at the acoustic study. I get it. I'm just wondering if you could get a weird wood that's, making a whining sound because of the blade. I just want to know about that. The second thing I want to talk about was, I'm wondering if you have a storage area that's out of sight for scrap wood and the scrap bandsaw blades and that sort of thing. I've been to your site a zillion times.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked about that. I mean, my goal with what's it called? It's like a broken glass theory. Like, our current property is so littered with stuff. There's no room for litter in this property.
So what's the plan?
We are inspired by Walt Disney. There is a front of house and a back of house.
Yes.
And this is all front of house. So we've got to take care of waste. The blades are hung up neatly. It's got to look amazing. That's the goal.
Okay.
And the truth is, you don't have much back at house. It's a pretty tight site, so he's gonna have to keep it neat. This can't go sprawling. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like up to the stream. I mean, that's all he's really. That's where his operation is. It's on the.
The only back of house is back here, literally like in our parking lot and behind these buildings.
I'm thinking a fence or something and just an area concealed from sight or plantings or something. And give you a backup house that disappears. Maybe, I don't know, something to consider. I guess those are my two points.
Sure. On the saw, I mean, I'm an honest guy. It makes noise. Like if you hit something in an antique white oak beam, it can make sound. There happens to be a former Hudson Company sawmill operator standing in our presence.
No. Okay, it just surprised me. It's outside in the middle of the town. Okay.
You've probably all been to US Lumber. There's a difference. There are different types of sawmills. There's like a primary mill that's taking log after log after log with massive circular saw blades. That is a loud operation. In fact, they're using head saws and rigs and tons of equipment, dozers. We're taking these little toothpick beams, and gingerly putting them on our saw and cutting them. They're so valuable, we gotta be really precious.
Right.
So it's not nearly as loud as what US Lumber used to be, or if you went to Nelts in Ghent.
What about like the corn dryer that goes? Is it like that loud? Like the constant? Does anyone else live in town?
That's loud. It doesn't.
Yeah. I wonder, I would like to try.
What is that, the laundromat?
No, the corn.
No, the corn
When
dryer.
they harvest the corn, you go out and like,
You hear it all.
yeah, corn line running.
Or that big machine with the angled front.
No.
Yeah.
There's Greg has one and they have one, I think,
It's not there.
right behind you.
Well, I would say two things. You're welcome to come back to the operation. But there was this third party sounds.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess maybe if any of the members want to visit your current site, they just contact you to set something up.
Be happy to set them up.
Somebody wants a field trip.
The noise study, which we'll see, but the points that you picked for the noise study on the property currently are on the proposed property that you're purchasing. You didn't go over to the post office. You didn't have them go right up to the fence behind the car wash.
The points that were chosen for the proposed location were chosen specifically to address impacts on sensitive resources. So like to us, what appeared to be the most sensitive resource was the residents on Culver's property across 83. But so there was a sound, an ambient sound level reading taken right at his property line on the north side of 83, closest, direct access to that residence. And then there were 5 other spots with the same sort of methodology. It's mapped in the analysis. We can see how those spots were chosen.
But if it's within the threshold of those locations, you would think it would be.
Yeah.
Pine Plains. Plains is in the name. It's flat and noise carries. I mean, I have the same problem that Mr. Abrams has. I hear tower on a Saturday night.
You dance too?
You can't. Well. That's what I've got back.
You said they're louder. So, see.
Right, and
they are.
that's what I don't know.
But would it be louder farther if they're taking the measurement?
No, the sound will,
Right.
it'll
No.
decrease over time. It should be in the.
That's why I say. I'm sure the question will be answered with your,
Depends on the wind too.
that's true.
Okay. All right, so at this point, I propose that we hold open the public hearing. And we will also be accepting any written comments that the public or anyone else wants to present. Either mail to town hall here or email to planning board at pineplains-ny.gov. So Warren, do I have to do that, or can I just say hold open more? Do I have to have a motion?
Muted.
Warren, you're muted.
No, don't just make a motion to close it.
Warren, you're still muted.
Just a minute. Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
there we go. We got you. Do I have to make a motion to hold open the public hearing or just declare it held open?
Yeah, do a motion.
Okay, can I have a motion to hold
Okay.
open the public hearing and to accept written and email comments?
Yes.
So Dick, second,
Sure.
Scott, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. A lot of
Just
good
state the
information, a lot of
date,
good
the date and the time for the public hearing continuance.
Yes. We have a problem next month. What is it?
The ninth of July.
That's the second one, right? Yeah, that's no good, right? So it's me too, right? So we're going, how does the next week look? Okay. The 16th?
I won't be there.
I'm good for the 16th, but not tonight.
All right, so we'll have the meeting, and the public hearing will be continued at 7:35 on the 16th of July, and that'll be our meeting date for July. Can I have a motion to that effect?
My motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We covered our business. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
everybody. Appreciate
you.
Motion to
Yes, you. Are you okay? With this, waiting with you?
No, that's, yeah, no, she's my rental.
Okay, so that's.
Come on.
All right, next up on the agenda is HTWO Properties.
Wes has got it all.
What? Hello?
Steve Hobson, HTWO Property. I have some paper documents. I don't have anything uploaded. I'll try and keep it brief. I'm the owner of H2 Properties, a storage place, fishing storage in town.
Hold on.
You ready?
Sorry. All right.
Steve Hobson, owner of HTWO Properties, fishing storage in town here since the year 2000. Over the years, I've expanded a little bit, and back in the fall, I purchased a lot just to the west of me with the mobile home on it and the multiple garages. And after a couple days cleanup, I got it cleaned up, and then I got approached by the neighbor to sell. He wanted to sell the place in between that and my existing storage building. So I purchased that about a month ago, 2 months ago. That's when I submitted the application to join all three lots. So currently the house, the white house to the west of the storage building is residential, and the rear's been used as commercial for the welding shop and for the stitching design center there. What I'd like to do, and I have everything drawn up from the surveyor, what I'd like to do is subdivide the White House to make a legal half acre, 20,000 square feet. Keep that residential and subdivide the rear section, which is 2816 Church Street,
and kind of make it a horseshoe and combine the rear of that lot and the lot that I purchased where the mobile home was, so that I can eventually, and it's not in the near future, I'd like to do another climate control building and probably one more regular storage building on that lot. So I'm proposing a lot line adjustment for that and basically a small subdivision line, which I have plotted out.
Do we have this?
Not digitally.
Oh,
I just got it today,
oh,
literally. So, can I show everyone
yeah,
that? Or
absolutely.
I didn't want
Pull this
to, I
one
didn't know
up.
what this stuff was, if I could.
Pull that one up.
So, is everyone familiar with the property, or do I need to? Okay. So, basically, I show the board here. Thank you, appreciate that. So there's Third Street, 199, my existing storage buildings here. Well, sorry, God. I'm sorry, I didn't have the baby, so it was Stone Age here. So I purchased this lot over here. To the west, this is where the mobile home was, and the multiple garages, which I got a permit and I demoed back in the fall, closed that out. It's generally cleaned up. So this house currently sits on this lot here. There's an existing old fence that runs along, and the building that I purchased to the rear is right on the property line. I do intend to demo that old building in the rear, the concrete block building. It's not going to fit my use. So what I'd like to do now to start the whole process is to get this subdivided here, to make the White House in the front at 2814 a legal half acre. And I'm gonna most likely market that house. And then combine my existing storage place, this small piece, and this lot over here. I have no intentions of adding another egress or ingress from Church Street. I anticipate in the future that my current access point will allow, ingress into the whole property from there down the line, if I can get this approved.
And then, so sometime in the future, you don't have plans that currently, but the idea would be eventually expanding into that third lot.
Exactly. I'm thinking, and I didn't want to put the cart before the horse and do a whole scenario. I wanted to make sure that I could go forward with this part now. Plus, I just spent a lot of money. I'm thinking a climate control building this way, and then maybe one more, not like I currently have, not a heated one this way, and probably I'm definitely going to fence the house in once I get the subdivision approved. If I get the subdivision approved, I'm going to do a fence. I'll get obviously permit for that and market that house separately.
Wait a minute, walk me through the site, because I'm a customer, actually. You have a brick in the front.
I do.
And you've got electric car charging.
That's along this building here.
Yeah, I thought in the back you had 3 rows.
I do, but this is an old survey. This portion of the old survey map doesn't show the other buildings that are on here. Yeah, that's why it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
This is that White House right there now.
Right.
And the rear concrete building that goes back almost to Mr. Coon's property.
I want to see a circulation plan once you get it laid out, because I don't think you can make your way with a truck and make that turn in the back to get to that property. I just want to see how the existing buildings are about it, or what you're thinking.
There's no access to the road. What's the cul-de-sac behind that? Is there an
9 partner back there?
Yeah, is there an access to
There
that?
actually is a small, this section right here at the corner of the property I just purchased, there is actually
Drive.
a little, yeah, it's an old gravel drive, and I have no intentions of using that.
But on the where the storage is now, there's not. It's a marsh there.
It's open to the dead end, and when I did the last building there, I don't know how many years ago, I agreed to keep that open, because the kids go through with their bikes, the kids come out of school and they come in and out of there from the rear. So I knock on wood, I haven't had any problems. So I intend to keep it that way. It's like I said, this would be my first step of the process.
And it's the half acre zone in this?
White House with you.
It's what I thought they had. Turn away.
No, I'm sorry about that.
So in this piece that you're proposing to create here with the house on it is 20,000, or is it?
Roughly after I move the one lot line, which
if you look at it here again, I'll put it back up. Thank you. This, currently that white fence, and there's a big giant pine tree growing into the house and another big tree that I gotta take down. There's a white fence that's literally like 5 feet off the corner of the house. Basically, I'd like to kick that line a little to the west and establish a rear line to separate the two properties, keeping this residential, leaving that commercial, to be conforming. And that would give me a half acre to make that conforming without getting any kind of variance. And what's the setback?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the setback in this zone? The front side setback?
I mean, a minimum of 50 feet. You got that, that's a minimum of 100 feet. Front yard setbacks 10 feet. Minimum, 25 feet maximum.
Yeah. How far is that setback?
Sorry.
So that's, I mean, I know that's.
I can't read.
How far is the house setback from the road? Currently, yeah. Currently, I don't think you have that showing on there. I don't think it's on there. Yeah.
We're gonna need a site plan of setbacks and that sort of thing and the existing stuff.
I'd say roughly 80 myself, maybe to the front porch.
That's just using parcel access.
What's that? No, I don't have intention of taking it down. No, I'd like to keep it residential and leave it. So in the future, if you end up, you know, whatever, the future plans, if you put a building there, you're saying you wouldn't have it access to the main road there? Up front here, no. I mean, I possibly could include that. I just thought for planning purposes and one entrance would, because unlike the previous discussions here about traffic, I have no traffic. And anybody drives that by, there's no traffic. There is none. Have you thought about? One of my concerns is preserving like the street wall in that area. I don't know how you would do it. Again, it can't be another lot because it would take away what you might want to do in the future, I think, to make another half acre lot. But, or if this lot was like if you were able to have an accessory use dwelling up near the road on that third piece. Up here, you mean? Yeah, on that piece, if we had accessory use dwelling, but again, that's another thing, the community has been looking to have more dwellings. Well, if I did that, I'd need a variance to shrink down the property that I'm anticipating taking from this house here, or adding to it rather. Right, right. But the lot line in the back and then across. Yeah, and this lot line over, like you could keep. You cut off a piece of that rectangle you're giving to the half acre too. Over here, yeah. Yeah, getting a variance out. You know what I'm saying? So now we keep houses along there instead of having just like. I did consider that. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I just felt like in the long run, to get a Board of Health approval with the septic and the well and all that, I know I had contacted the building inspector prior to this. That's because there was a 2-bedroom mobile home on it with a septic and a well, not in great condition. You can repair it. No, I mean, I spent a lot of money cleaning it up, and I thought about coming in prior to cleaning it up, but I felt like, and I've got pictures, but I felt like if I cleaned it up and did the right thing, I mean, everybody's driven by there a million times. I think I hopefully made an improvement to it. And I certainly don't keep my facility looking like that. You know, so I just, this way I thought if I could subdivide that house, I could recoup some of what I've spent on these 2 lots. I didn't anticipate the second one coming up till I sold it. I bought the first one in the fall, and then he approached me about selling the other one, and I was like, well, I kind of got it. So here I am. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's right now, that's my plan. I understand it. If you know, you wanted a residential structure there to keep it all looking residential in that whole row, that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. I could sell it as a lot, as a building lot, or get approval on it and sell it as that, but that puts my whole project further down the line. Because I'll have
what, if I do combine all these, I'll have 0 septic, 0 well, minimal electric. There's already an existing pole where 9 Partners comes in now. I just had Central Hudson shut the power off to that. And I would feed the electric to the buildings back there. I'm not gonna have any bathroom, septic, anything. Our site's managed totally remotely. It's all, we have an online platform where clients can come on and choose a unit, look at it. It's online. They can pick it and put it, frame it down. And we've had almost 100% occupancy for the last probably 5 years. That's why I had added that other small building in the front. And 80% of the people that reach out to us are looking for climate control. So that's why I thought if I did this, and I'll probably would do the other building this way so you could drive around it. And do climate control with radiant heat in it and, bring it all up to code. Something new that way.
What's your customer base for electric cars? Who's charging them?
I was hoping everybody at the high school.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Can I reserve my comment to that?
Just curious.
It's about $4 a month, maybe 5. 1 month was $8. Ice cream at Stewart's. I did have an increase in my assessment. It didn't cover that, but there's people using it, and it's all an app, and it's once they've used it and they're with that company that ChargeSmart, when they pull up, they throw the thing and it goes right into the thing. But the company that built it with me, they get a percentage of it. So I'm only seeing a percentage of it for the first few years till the equipment's paid for. But my long term with that was I thought, well, in time, students at school are gonna need it.
That's what I thought.
And it's right there, and why wouldn't they? If they want to top their car off while it's there. So, because we don't have any traffic. We truly don't. It's
So I have a question. How come you don't have the survey of the other building, like the one that you said you added?
Because the guy that did that survey is kind of retired, and that went back to like 20 years. So I had this piece surveyed in December and this piece surveyed about 2 weeks ago, and they were able to get that information from the other guy's files and.
We need it to be complete.
Yeah.
We need those buildings on.
Okay. They got a show on there.
Yeah, I understood. I mean, it's on the lot that, right? I mean, George, we need those.
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but does that change my request to do that? I mean, the fact that they're not shown there, does that change my request to do a subdivision and or?
No, I'm just saying that we have to work with the site plan that.
Absolutely, yeah. I have an engineer I'm working with on it, and I just felt like I wanted to come forward for this portion of it on my own, rather than sending him in with a big giant plan, because once I demo that other building to the rear, then I'll be able to stand there and visualize it a little better, and like you talk about driving around that back corner. There's one giant maple tree that's probably gonna have to go down, but other than that, everything that's there is gonna stay, tree wise, so.
So you're just gonna take down his studio thing?
Correct, the studio is in disrepair, yep, so. And it's really not gonna fit the layout of what I gotta do for traffic getting around it and that sort of stuff, so.
George, is there any issues that? I mean. There you go, look at this.
I really look so,
I know it's,
yeah, I don't know where. I mean, this must have an existing septic somewhere.
It does, yep, it's right around this rear corner, right on the fence line. So that's why I thought also by going that way, I can ensure that it's incorporated in that. And I have some photos of I can put in all this, I guess I should have sent that to you. This is just of that lot that I cleaned up. I mean, it's cleaned up now, but we recycled what we could, and I think I took three 30-yard dumpsters out of there. So,
That White House is Tim's house on.
correct. You see how close the fence is to it? It's like right, you can open the window and touch the fence. So
Your lot line is going past where the truck stays, or up to the truck is, right?
basically, yep, that'll be the new corner right there. It's gonna land right about where the existing gravel driveway is on the map there. In order to make it a half acre. And it'll look better when it's all set that way. And I figured I'd get a permit and fence that in with the house before I market it. That way that's in place prior to me coming here to look at anything further for additional buildings.
And that's just an overview. Now it shows, that's I just printed off of, parcel access. So that shows that's how it currently sits. This building is climate controlled in the front. So essentially that line would carry right, there's the other lots going west on, Church Street are subdivided right about here. It's almost about the same spot. You carry right through there. So it would be a horseshoe. This building would go. Oh, so the cars might be able to go between, that.
Right in and around and right on here, and I really wouldn't need access. Possibly I could put a fence along 199 or along Church Street, you know? I mean, I hear your concern with the houses, but the cost of building nowadays, based on the square footage and the return on it, it'd be a huge project compared to me doing an
It
additional.
would have been great if that house was up near the road, and you could just go across with your half acre.
Yes, it would. It isn't perfect, and I even thought about, adjusting this one here, this line, and making it closer to my existing building, because I really don't need a year. That's a thought too, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. I could move this line to the east, closer to the edge of this climate control building if I got a variance, and tighter here, and I wouldn't have to go as far over here.
Well, what does that grade give you though?
The same, just gives me a little bit more over into here.
Alright, so we gotta just make sure that the site plan has all the elements, that are there.
Okay.
And that it's, Warren, what do we, it's just, he gets that site plan fixed up and then we could set a public hearing for the, lot line adjustment? Warren, you're muted.
Would the new site plan like not have this in it?
Well, full up to there a little. Are you definitely gonna demo that building?
If I'm gonna move ahead with this other stuff, yes, but
Like,
I
we have an application.
Can you hear me?
We have
Yeah.
I'll figure this out soon.
yeah, I did the application. It wasn't put up on the thing, but like I had it filled out, from before.
But this building is gonna come down and there's gonna be different buildings.
Right, but he doesn't have the exact plan.
Right, and
Also, this is just for the
subdivision.
subdivision.
Subdivision, to combine them, and I'd like to combine them and make them all one lot, it'd just be easier for record keeping and everything else, but.
Line alteration and consolidation.
Correct, yeah. And I did purchase this property based on square footage, but I'm gonna tear it down. So, that's my plan. I don't really feel necessary to tear the other house down. I think that it's in good shape and it's close to the school and, I'm definitely gonna make it look better. It's just, I didn't wanna proceed with any of that until I know I can do the subdivision.
Yeah, and demo's up on it.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking it's for the other project, for adding on, but it's not.
So Warren, my question was, so then you can set a public hearing next, set a public hearing next, meeting once it gets the map cleaned up?
Yeah, you can do it all in one night. You could waive a public hearing for this, but might as well just schedule for I couldn't see the map. So it's a lot line adjustment and a minor subdivision.
Yeah.
Consolidation.
Yeah.
He started with 3, he's gonna end up with 2.
Yeah.
Going from 2.
You could probably waive the public hearing, but if you want to just schedule for a public hearing, do we have
We can schedule it now for next month.
Do you have the map that he's going to be submitting? Is that map?
He's gotta fix it. There's some things.
But he has to tweak it. It's basically the same map, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Go ahead and just schedule it for a public hearing for the next meeting, and you can vote on it at that meeting.
So, okay, so can I have a motion to set the public hearing for the 16th, we said, right? At 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Second. Okay, so it's Jake, and we'll go with Eve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, so. Yeah, and once we get this electronically, we'll get that to Georgia. If there's anything else missing, Georgia, let them know, yes?
Okay.
If you get this, do you have this electronically?
The surveyor does, yeah. Yeah. Can I
Well,
only
in the
leave a copy?
meantime, you definitely at least have to get the other buildings on there.
Sure.
I don't know if there's anything else in this.
And I'll just email that to Trish and
Yeah.
it'll get uploaded to the thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah, and don't print out like, we don't need like 8 hard copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just probably he
You
handed
have
me
to
today.
fix that in, it's like, it's
I should have gave it to her. So she had it.
just.
Oh, man. There it goes.
Over.
That's it.
Silence. Yes, oh, no, it's gonna be really.
We're still online here.
We're still fine. I don't know. We're just not seeing.
I've been printing 8 on 8. It's like.
Oh, I always
do that.
get one.
It doesn't just drop on it, does it?
No, throw one in someday. Bring it. Do it now, then you're.
People back.
Otherwise it'd be.
Well, I was gonna thank you for allowing me to. Mr. Hobson for comment. I was gonna thank you for cleaning up that lot.
And you're welcome. Yeah, I did, I considered doing all this prior, but I got to be winter and I had time and I got used some of my guys and we just got cracking on it. But it's interesting. Everybody is full.
Did somebody? I just have the same experience. Good food house. This one.
We call that living. Yeah. It was interesting. And the burn barrels in the back, like you burn it everything. I took like 4 burns. That's full out of there. So.
Warren, if you're listening, we're having some technical difficulties. Give us a sec.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but hold on, the TV got unplugged and we're just getting it
Okay,
back
so
up.
I was just going to ask. I looked over this. The next matter is Steve's application for a lot line adjustment.
Yes,
Okay, and that's all you have, right?
that's the last one, yeah. You
Okay.
want a break or what do you?
No, I want to leave. I have to go, and I had some surgery done. I have to go home, put drops in my eyes. I looked it over.
Okay.
It looks fine to me. You can probably just approve this without a public hearing. So I don't know whether George had any comments, but I'll leave it in his good hands. So
Okay, Warren, thank you.
if you don't mind, I'm going to leave. So good luck.
Okay.
Good luck, Steve. I hope they don't
Thank
make you do a draft environmental impact statement.
All right, thank you, Warren.
All right. Good
Feel
night,
better.
everybody. Thanks.
All right. So we'll leave it on then for next month. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on
Okay.
public hearing it.
I'll get her the digital copies then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we gotta fix that map.
We'll do.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
So we'll tell you when we want the hard copy ones. You can bring one to the meeting if you want it, but like, we'll tell you when it's all done, then you can provide the hard copies you're gonna need for the county and the couple for us.
Okay.
But yeah, no, just keep printing out. Okay. All right, well, it is what it is. Well, Warren left anyway, so, but they hear us.
Oh, you mean online? Yeah.
Oh, so, the next, application up, from University Patterson and Southdale Farm. So we have 2 members recusing, correct?
Yes.
Kate and Steve are recusing from this matter. So we have Al.
Appreciate it.
Scott, we're good. Dick, Ethan, and myself. Rob, you're just observing still, because we gotta get you sworn.
Okay.
Should did that earlier.
Yeah.
We go, I didn't even think of that. Okay, what's going on?
Pictures full of it.
Three houses.
I
Let's just get through all
Wesley have chosen me because they're very patient to represent them.
So Steve, being the wonderful man that he is, has some great in-laws, and this whole project is really based about his in-laws, Chrissy's parents.
We're actually renting communities.
Who are also great. Who are getting older and they would like to get them a little bit closer. So it's a accessory dwelling unit that they're trying to add to their existing parcel up on Schultz Hill Road. With that, the first thing that they did was hire Joe Berger, PE, to do some preliminary tests and did deep test, perk test, and currently has a submission into the Dutchess County Health Department to get health department approval. After those tests confirm that a septic system would be viable and they could fit it into the lot, which generally will be in the flatter area down in here. Then they approached lands of Schultz Hill Farms LLC, and they agreed to sell them enough property, and the dotted line would represent what Ed has said and what the zoning says that the building envelope is. So the theory is to have an accessory dwelling unit. It's only 905 square feet, with a right of way coming up of, which is, we call Globe Hill driveway, which kind of goes up to the site where you see tents from time to time. So they will have a right of way to utilize that driveway to get to the back of the unit. The unit will be approximately the same elevation as the driveway, and that way Chrissy's parents can walk right out of the driveway. No steps up, no steps down, right onto the deck and into the house. With that, I'd open it up to any questions anybody might have.
I have a picture. Student people want to see it.
Good looking rendering.
So they needed, you understand, they needed more property to have that.
Yeah, the only, right, the only flat place is right there, and it's right on the lines.
That's the cottage. It's illogical.
Not from down.
Not from.
Well,
It's not from down.
That's might be a win-win situation, man.
Easy now.
buy a couple.
Close out moving sale.
And the septic was where, septic is, well, this will be the septic and expansion in here, which I do not have a copy of the plans that have been submitted to the health department. The plans were submitted, first round of comments came back. You never get it perfect the first time, right? Never. So they're on the second round of comments. And once that's there, I was hopeful to just show you the approved septic area on there. We're trying to do two things at once, moving parts and trying to get them there as quick as possible. So the first thing is the lot line alteration to make the property viable, that the accessory dwelling unit can actually go on it. The second would be the site plan approval to allow the accessory dwelling unit to go on there. So like I explained to Chrissy, it probably makes more sense to have two different maps. One map is going to get filed at the county rather than have all the septic design and everything that's on there for the accessory dwelling unit, which is really a site plan, right? We don't want a site plan filed with the county. We just want they're selling this 34/100ths of an acre to these people and they're consolidating. And then the second map would just be for the town, which is site plan specific. And accessory dwelling units are only special use, I mean, only site plan, or is it a special use permit? It's a special permit.
Which requires the site plan.
Right. But like, okay, yeah, so we need to have it here, you can't just, Martin was saying like.
He was saying, I think for the lot
Just for the.
Yeah, I don't know that he knows that right now. It's just a lot line adjust.
Yeah. No. I'm not sure, but, even just like, Stevie on the vote, we probably should go through all the steps. Okay,
I mean, we don't think the septic, we could still set it for a hearing for next month, and just like everyone else, we just, they gotta submit
What would be,
approval at some point.
what would be helpful is if we treat it as two separate applications. One being the lot line alteration and one being the site plan. Only because people go on vacations and they get people to sign deeds and do all that and coordinate it after this. So if the board would think about waiving the public hearing just for the lot line alteration and not the special use permit, and then we would come back for the special use permit next month with a public hearing just specifically for that, excuse me, and go ahead that way. For that, you okay?
That's not segmented.
Well, it's two different applications, right?
It's all part of the same.
Well, that's what the Hodson guy is doing.
Well. He's like, oh, maybe someday in the future, we're gonna, I know.
He's coming
Right.
back.
So we only have application for a lot. No, I checked special needs.
Well, I filed both,
Well, two separate ones.
two separate things.
I don't know a lot about this. Is this an as of right? If he's got the setback and you solve the land issue, isn't this as of right? There's no objection to anything. Is there? I don't know how it works.
Objection to.
I mean,
the special use permit.
That's what you say. Well, I don't know about the special use permit, but if I got a building permit, it would be as of right. I wouldn't have to go to a planning board for an as of right building. That's what I'm
You
asking.
get a building permit.
That's where you dwell.
Second house on a lot.
Right, if it was your primary dwelling, yes, but it's accessory.
Okay. I have two other questions. Where do you get water supply and where's the electric coming from? Is it underground or off the house? Yeah. So electric and water is underground. Yeah.
I mean, you technically can do it.
So I'm saying it's as of right. It's
No,
it's us.
I can do what?
You technically can, a lot line adjustment, you totally can waive the hearing and you can approve the lot line adjustment.
So
And then
we proved the lot line adjustment, we waived it, what does that get you?
That just gets the deeds filed and they can move along. And then we're not gonna be able to pull any building permit or do anything until the board is satisfied and we have everything settled in that sense. But all that does is streamline all of the other things, getting the map filed, getting the deeds filed, getting the easement filed, which even shows the board a little bit more for the site plan that it's been done by the next time the actual public hearing happens. That they actually own this and they're proposing.
So I was noticed, the lot line is 500 radius, where more special with communities.
Staring. And deep out there probably doesn't matter.
Good thing, but.
But all right.
To make it hard to have hours and share meetings.
It's like a little fried at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, so. Yeah, so we waived the public hearing.
Just
and then
on the lot line.
On the lot line, to improve the lot line adjustment now?
You can.
Oh, yeah, like, why not, right? And then the risk is only there is that if we don't, for some reason, don't. All right.
Like come down to mass, get all three.
All right, so.
Can I just make one suggestion that we do it under the stipulation that I take anything proposed off, including the proposed driveway and the proposed unit, that'll be for the lot line. So we're not saying there's something proposed here that we're filing with the county for making that indication in any shape, way or form. So I'd redo the maps just to take anything that's proposed off, and it's just dealing with the applicant's land as is right now.
Sounds good. All right, so can I have a motion, first of all, to waive the public hearing on this application?
So made.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so who said aye over there? No one over there.
It was.
Okay, so that's some wave, and then now, can I have a motion to approve the lot line adjustment with the amended map that Wesley will provide?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. That is also carried unanimously 5-0. Makes you know it's 55 for both eyes. Now, can I have a motion to set a public hearing? Jesus, going to be another one. 8:15, I guess, on the 16th for the special use permit for the accessory.
Motion?
Second.
Can I get one in? Good, Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That also carries 5-0. Okay. We should be good. Sorry, yeah, we don't want to. Oh, free fireworks.
Or did you give me, this is the one you dropped off?
There was one error on it.
All right, so if we could just have the main meeting minutes, everyone got a chance to review them.
Yes.
Who was here? Is there any changes? For comment?
I would just clarify that it was the district, the fire district that sent the letter, not fire. Because it says the fire department.
Oh my God, all right.
And that whole thing was a little, just to clarify, I'll send a thing tomorrow morning and clarify it.
When you noticed it, what folks got a notice?
Well, you remember, I can look.
Sorry,
Maybe-
we'll do it. I wanna write another. All right, so with that, can I have a motion to approve the main meeting minutes?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All
You're
right,
talking about for upstate, right?
yeah,
Over into the traditional.
like, okay.
We have been studying theory, I'm like, or.
So I just have to do that. Simple ones. All right, anything else? Do you have any other business? No, you don't?
Sign at the fire department, we gotta look into that.
Then we can look just.
It's
when the fire
It's like when you drive by it, it scares you. It like will change to whatever and you're like,
All I could find in the public documents was that there was a conversation held and there was never an approval. That's what I looked into. Clear. Drew had said in 2014 that he was approached by the fire company to have a conversation at the sign. They can find no approval at the sign. I was a member then, and I can't remember any approval.
So I'll tell you what happened. They went to the ZBA. They had an attorney from the fire district. And the ZBA determined that it was the fire district, not the fire company, therefore not subject to zoning.
Right.
And they put the first sign.
Yeah. It's like the school, it's just like the school.
no,
But fire district, yes, fire district would be exempt. The fire district does not own the property. The fire company owns the property, and they are a volunteer organization.
So but have the sign, you just replace it on the house.
But it's hideous stuff.
I know, it's so.
But they're not subject to zoning based upon the determination that was made by the zoning. I mean, if the town wants to talk to the supervisor about.
Notes that it's like,
I would like to see the minutes of the approval if we could find them. There was now. Yeah, end of 2014, beginning of 2015.
And Kristen, when else, she wasn't.
And the records on the websites.
10 years ago?
Fuzzy then.
You don't go through the old ones?
Motion to adjourn.
They haven't even been.
I have a motion to adjourn. Have a second?
Yep.